Hello and welcome back. Penultimate episode of Favorite Album series. It's been a long journey, longer than I intended. But here we go. I'm very excited to get into this. Hope you are too. And yeah, this is top 20 of all time. This is where it gets. Well, it's already been all-time favorites, but this is where it reaches a whole other level of albums that I really, really couldn't live without. So, gonna get straight into it. Number 20. A lot of you will have known this one was coming based on me having my number 2 album from this discography lower down the list. My number 20 is Summer Teeth by Wilco. One of my favorite albums ever. I love every single song. You know, A Shot in the Arm, the title track, Via Chicago, Can't Stand It. I could just name every single song. The production is immaculate. Jay Bennett adds so much to the band dynamic here. And the songs are just so catchy. The lyrics are great. And it just sounds amazing. It's just a real comfort album for me. I talk about it in greater detail in the Wilco ranking, so I won't repeat myself. But yeah, what a fantastic album. Number 19, similar vein, Arcade Fire with the Suburbs. I said that Funeral wasn't my favorite Arcade Fire album. Here is my favorite one. It's always been my favorite. I have great memories of listening to it in the car, friends. Tracks like We Used to Wait and the title track and Sprawl 2 are the real highlights for me. Those tracks really give me nostalgia like nothing else. But it's full of other great tracks as well. See With No Children is really great. Suburban War, just great listen from front to back. The way it all flows together. You know, I just think it's absolutely loaded with fantastic songs. And despite what Wim Butler is as a person, it's still going to always be one of my all-time favorite albums. So that's that. Number 18, an artist that actually hasn't showed up yet, which is going to be rare in this top 20. It's mostly going to be artists that have showed up already. And it is Blue by Joni Mitchell, which I think is possibly the greatest 70s singer-songwriter album that there is. So intimate, so hushed. Her vocal performance throughout the entire album is pretty much perfection. And A Case of You has always been one of my all-time favorite love songs. Yeah, absolutely heartbreaking. California as well, and Carrie is like a nice sort of almost fun pop song, but it still has that sort of like downbeat feel of the entire album. Again, an album that has been a great comfort to me over the years, and it's hailed as an all-time classic for very good reason. So that's that. Number 17 is where a lot of people are going to be very annoyed at me, but I can't lie. This is my list. Black Country New Road, Ants from Up There. The album is barely a year old, but it's rare that I fall in love with an album as much as I fell in love with this one. The instrumentation, Isaac's lyrics, the passion that runs through every song, the cathartic explosions of these amazing long builds. You know, just Chaos Space Marine is this amazing multi-part cacophony of pop brilliance. And then you have Concord, which is just one of the most emotionally impactful songs you're going to hear. The mandolin on that song is such a lovely touch. You have Good Will Hunting, which might be my favorite on the entire album. It has such a pounding energy to it. The drums are amazing on that song. And The Place Where I Inserted the Blade is this just incredible, heartbreaking, yet euphoric experience. Snow Globes, again, talk about catharsis in music with the massive drum part drowning out Isaac as he sings the chorus. Almost as I like to think of it, as he's sort of walking through a blizzard and can't make his voice loud enough, you know. And then Basketball Shoes is just a fantastic closer. So I can't say enough nice things about Ants from Up There. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. If you have an issue with it being it coming out in the last year, then whatever. But it's my list, so that's that. 16, David Bowie with Low. Actually, I'm wearing the t-shirt. Hang on, there it is. And yeah, Low is fantastic, especially the A side, so fun. And the B side comes and it sort of sends you to another planet with the sort of the ambient stuff with Brian Eno. But this just has some of his best pop material on the A side with Be My Wife, Sound and Vision. Just absolutely incredible album from front to back. Sounds like nothing else that has ever been made. And it's one of my 20 favorite albums of all time and not my favorite Bowie album. So there are 3 artists who have multiple albums in the top 20, and Bowie is one of them. So yeah, Low, I love it. I wish I could put it higher, but I like too many albums, I guess. Number 15, another artist that hasn't been mentioned on the list yet, and that's because I have a weird relationship with this artist. I obviously adore this album more than most albums ever made, but the rest of the catalogue doesn't do much for me, aside from the odd song. The album I'm talking about is The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails, one of the greatest concept albums of all time. It's bleak, it's manic in parts, it's just full of amazing tracks. The first 7 songs alone would be enough to justify giving it a 10 out of 10 because all those songs are note for note perfect. Second half of the album isn't quite as good, but it's still incredible. It's just that it's set the bar so incredibly high. Tracks like The Becoming, when the acoustic guitar comes in on that song, is unbelievable. March of the Pigs, just so many incredible songs. The production is fantastic. Trent Reznor's lyrics are hard hitting, and it's not one I reach to very often because it puts me in a very specific place mentally. But when I do, I am just in awe of how profound a piece of art it is. So that's The Downward Spiral. 14, not going to say too much about this one because Harry Nilsson ranking is coming up. It's Aerial Ballet. Anyone who knows, spoken to me about music in the last year knows how obsessed I am with this album. And I'm going to leave it at that, honestly. I will talk about it more in the Harry Nilsson video, but it is masterful. Number 13, an artist that got their own video, the only of its kind that I did on the channel. Very early on into me doing these videos was me just talking casually about my love of The Replacements, and Let It Be has been on the list, and Pleased to Meet Me has been on the list. Here's Tim. My second favorite album of the 80s. Front to back, it's like 35 minutes long. It is tremendous. This has some of my all-time favorite songs, like right at the top of my favorite songs of all time, like Here Comes a Regular, like Bastards of Young, like Swingin' Party. And then you got Hold My Life, Kiss Me on the Bus, just absolutely jam-packed with incredible songs. And it's never not a fun time listening to it. It's this rowdy, energetic, and yet heartfelt and warm album in a way, which might be weird to say for an album this sort of punk adjacent, but it's really more sort of power pop to me. So yeah, Tim is my number 13. Number 12, I can't, especially 13, 12, and 11 deserve to be in the top 10, but I just ran out of spots. Number 12, I'm not actually at home at the moment. I'm at university. If I was at home, he would be behind me. Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, maybe the best produced album of all time, probably number 2 for me, and we'll get to number 1 in the final video. It is triumphant. It is just glorious in every sense. Thunder Road, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, Born to Run, Jungle Land. These are all some of my favorite songs ever. And the rest of the songs aren't that bad either. You know, Backstreets is amazing. I love Meeting Across the River, such incredible storytelling on that song. And I just don't know how you can fault Born to Run. It's one of the most perfect, complete albums ever made. And then number 11, another one that is baffling to me that this hasn't made the top 10. It's Revolver by the Beatles. Not quite making it. It's not my favorite Beatles album, but as I emphasized in that video, you know, it is perfect to me. Every single song is just fantastic. Even tracks like Dr. Robert and Yellow Submarine, which are sort of much considered the weak tracks on there, I've really come to enjoy. And yeah, you just look at how stacked the track list is. Anya Bird can sing, She Said, She Said, Eleanor Rigby, Here, There, and Everywhere, For No One, I'm Only Sleeping. There aren't many albums that you can say are as absolutely stacked as this one. And even now I'm thinking maybe it should have been in the top 10, but I'm sticking with it at number 11. And it is one of the most perfect albums ever made. There's no doubt about that. So there we go. It took me a while to get this one out. Hopefully the final part will be out soon and we can end this series. And there'll be an interesting series coming to replace it as well with some guests. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you enjoyed. Feel free to put any predictions for the top 10 in the comments. I would like to see them based on what you know of my taste. I mean, there's a couple certainties, I think, just by maths, by like having watched my videos. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll catch you soon.